till you change your behavior.
Hmm.
So why didn't he change his behavior? You say because of his mom?
That's my best guess because both my parents had way worse childhoods than I had.
Well, if you're saying that your father is like a domino, this is the domino theory, right? Your
Yeah,
father is like, well, his mom was really bad to him, and that's why he did what he did, right?
right.
Okay. That's a disastrous opinion to have.
I mean, I was saved by my big sister, so that's why I think the chain was broken by,
Are
and
you
as well
saying
by
that
your
your
word.
father, there was nobody who had any positive experience in his life? He never could have picked up a book. He never could have gone to a therapist or found a therapist that would have helped him. He never could have. There was nothing. No positive influence ever was around or tried to reach or had impact on your dad.
Yeah, you're right. That's completely believing in determinism.
So this is the problem, right? You can. My idiot amateur opinion. If you want to know why you're depressed, it's because you give determinism to your dad. But you're the son of your dad. So you give determinism to your mother. She's like a child. You give determinism to your dad, which means you're helpless in the face of negative stuff in your life, like crazy girlfriends, depression, whatever, because it's just determinism. We're just dominoes, man. My parents were just dominoes. Well, I'm the son of two dominoes. How could I be anything other than a domino? But on the other hand, there's this asshole on the internet telling me about free will. Ah, right?
Yeah, and that's what helped me a lot.
Well,
Um,
but it's a contradiction, right?
yeah, definitely, and it's
Okay,
something I need
do
to.
you have free? Sorry to interrupt. You have
Yeah.
free will, and you have the capacity to choose better than what you inherited, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Your parents may not have had free will by the time you met them. This is what's confusing about our parents, right?
Yeah.
So, because I know my mother a lot better than I know your parents, talking about both my parents, right? I think my parents effectively had no free will in particular by the time I came along, and certainly by the time I was, you know, 8, 9, 10, certainly by my early teens. No, no, because I never saw any evidence of free will. Now, I can have this theoretical ghost in the machine and say, well, despite the fact that there was no evidence, it was still in there somewhere, but I'm an empiricist. So if people don't show any evidence of free will, it's kind of tough to say they have it. But that doesn't mean that they're not responsible. And this is the paradox in a way. It's not a paradox when you understand the sort of flow of time stuff, but it's sort of like if my mother was 400 pounds by the time I came along, or was conscious or whatever, let's say by the time I was 10, right? My mom's 400 pounds. Does she have the ability to run a marathon?
No.
She has no free will to run, she's barely free will to climb the stairs, right?
Yeah.
She has no free will to play tennis. She has no free will to run a marathon. Okay, but why does she have no choice in these matters? Because of the choices she made earlier to get to 400 pounds.
Yeah, like my father deciding she was the one to marry.
And then, so deciding she was the one to marry, deciding she was the one to have children with, deciding to betray his fundamental duty of the father, even more than providing for his family, is to protect his children.
Hmm.
Number one job for men is to protect their children. Did he succeed?
No.
He not only enabled the abuse, stood up for your mother, never protected you, betrayed you to your mother by having her on the speakerphone without telling you, right?
Yeah.
So he's been, in a sense, castrated or allowed himself to be castrated or chosen to be castrated, right?
Hmm.
And as a eunuch, he's depressed. When you ever see a dog, when its balls get cut off, it just lies around, right?
Yeah.
So he's depressed because he's sitting in bed, as you said, watching TV all day, rather than protecting his children, which is this is the fundamental definition of his masculinity, is the protection of children.
Right.
And so if you fail at the fundamental task of masculinity, and you fail about as disastrously as anyone can, he also failed to protect countless other children from this pedophile gym teacher at the school.
Hmm.
Because he's like, hey, I'll move my kid. Good luck, all the other hundreds of kids this guy's going to whack off on, right?
Yeah.
So he failed to protect his own children. He failed to protect other children. He betrayed the offspring he was sworn by gender to protect. It's like, wow, he's mysteriously depressed.
Yeah.
And why he was depressed is he didn't get angry enough. You see, depression, for me, again, no evidence, just my amateur nonsense opinion, right? Depression is the exhaustion left behind when you fail to get angry, when you should get angry.
Hmm.
Whatever you're not angry at or won't let yourself be angry at, the shadow cast by that is depression.
Yeah. And I was angry for so long, though, that it tired me out.
You are absolutely wrong about this, and I'm not even going to put that out as a theory. Sorry.
Okay. No, no, it's
No,
fine.
because you told me how wonderful your dad was, very beginning of the conversation.
Yeah, but when I was 14, 15, I was so angry at him
Okay,
because I
okay,
couldn't
so what
understand
has he done? What has he done to earn your forgiveness?
nothing.
Okay, so what the hell?
Yeah.
I'm not saying so the purpose I remember I said the purpose of anger is to protect you.
Yeah.
Is your father a dangerous or negative presence in your life at the moment?
Not anymore.
Okay.
He's barely a presence in my life.
All right. You say you told me what a wonderful guy he was at the beginning. I'm not trying to catch you out, whatever. Like
No,
I'm
no,
not
no.
trying to,
I
oh,
understand.
gotcha. I'm not trying to be some lawyer here, but, and I remember because at the very beginning, right? You said he's a wonderful guy, he's a great guy, whatever, right?
Yeah, at least when I was a child, he was.
No, you said only for the first couple of years, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now, do you understand that? Oh, sorry, you do understand, I'm sure, that bonding is part of the abuse if it's followed by betrayal,
Yes.
right? You know the nice cop, nasty cop thing? The one cop
Uh,
comes in and says, hey, man, I really want to help you. I want to set you free. We're just trying to catch this criminal. Here's a cup of coffee. Just tell me what happened, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes out if you don't talk. And then another nasty cop comes in and says, I'm going to give you 10 years in prison. You're never going to see your kids grow up. And he's just a total. But you understand the nice cop and the nasty cop are two sides of the same coin. So if your
yeah.
father lured you into bonding with him and then betrayed the living shit out of you as a child by allowing your mother to abuse you, never standing up for you, and then as an adult betraying you to her on a regular basis, the one thing you want to do is not have any contact or talk to your mother, and he puts you on speakerphone without telling you, right?
Yeah,
That the bonding is part of the abuse.
it is.
And it's also part of his way of gaining a positive regard from you without having to earn it through moral leadership as an adult.
Hmm. Yeah, I see that.
You still see your mother and your father as separate morally. But they're
Hmm.
two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, I couldn't have one without the other.
They both are the same. I don't know if you've heard this before. I can't remember if I wrote about it in real time relationships. But it's so common that we in a situation, I was in the same situation too. So I say this with all sympathy and with absolutely zero superiority because I was older than you, way older than you when I finally figured this shit out. So, this is not no position of superiority here.
Don't
One
worry.
parent gets away. One parent gets the blame, the other one gets away. And the one who gets away is the more dangerous one. The one who gets your excuses is the more dangerous one. Because the one who's abused you, and you say, because you said about your mother, you have very harsh terms about your mother. I would disagree with none of them, by the way. But you say, oh, my mother, she was abusive. She hit me, psychologically tortured me, abusive, verbally abusive when she couldn't be physically abusive. She's like a child. She's dangerous. She's hostile and aggressive. All of this stuff about your mom. Okay, so there, your anger has served you well and said, this is a dangerous kind of person, right?
Hmm.
So, the immune system, it has to identify the foreign object, it has to map it, it has to produce antibodies, and then you're okay, right?
Yeah.
But the parent who gets away is way more dangerous. because it's slipped past your defenses. It's not identified as a danger.
Yeah, it's like the good cop.
Yeah, it's like AIDS. No, because AIDS lowers your immune system, right, to the point where just about anything can get through. So if you're like, well, my mother was blah, 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 bad, 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 but my dad was great, wonderful, I like him, great guy to get along with, blah, blah. Okay, that's your danger.
Hmm.
That's your danger. Because you're viewing your father as a victim.
Right, when he was also a perpetrator.
Yes. If your mother was out of control, let's say she was, right? Let's say that because she had done all these bad things, because she had chosen, and you understand, she chose your father because she believed that he would let her abuse her children and not get in the way.
Hmm.
So let's say that your mother was out of control, right? For various reasons, she was morally 400 pounds, and she could no longer choose to not abuse her children because she had done so many bad things, all right? So
Yeah,
she destroyed her conscience. She had, like, let's just say she'd gone total sociopath or no conscience, whatever, right? Maybe, who knows, right?
yeah,
But then it falls on your father. It
yeah.
falls on your father to protect you. So let's say you have a dog and the dog gets rabies. Now, the dog ends up attacking the children, leaving scars, bite marks, you name it, biting off a finger, whatever, right?
Hmm.
Now, the dog is out of control because he's got rabies.
Right, and
Do the
it's my
parents,
duty to
yeah,
protect the children.
do the parents then get to say, well, hey, if the dog was out of control, there was nothing we could do?
Yeah, no, you put the dog down and you get your children treatment.
Right, right. You don't just every day bring the kids home, let the dog chew on them,
Hmm.
and say, hey, that dog was great when we got it. Maybe that's what your dad says about your mom. She was great when I married her.
Yeah, you're right.
No, your dad, and listen, I'm not trying to turn you against your dad,
No, no, I understand.
right? I'm
It's
just, what I'm saying,
self-knowledge.
though, is that if you think that your dad is a good guy, then he must be a victim, right?
Yeah, and
So
he's
what
not.
that means is that men can be victims, which makes you passive. Why? Because you're a man. Everything you put on your dad, you put on yourself.
Right.
Men are victims. Men are powerless in the face of women. Men are just kite tails being pulled around by vaginas, right?
Yeah,
Now,
lovely image.
yeah, let me ask you this. How much authority do you feel that you have with your current girlfriend?
Oh, quite a bit.